Dear Blizzard, hi! Are you mad at me that I'm doing 2 Overwatch videos in a row? Well, I don't give a shit. I do what I want. Plus, I let you off easily last week by focusing on something pedantic that honestly doesn't even fucking matter, which, given by the steeper than usual like to dislike ratio, annoyed more than its fair share of people. Well, I don't care. I don't care at all. I just, no, you're crying! I'm writing you today, Blizzard, because, well, it's finally time. It's finally time to talk about my least favorite character, Roadhog. Now, I know you're thinking to yourself, Roadhog? What the hell? And granted, Roadhog is no Mei. There's definitely a unique kind of terror that you only feel as a support character when you round a corner and come face to face with that little she-devil. You catch her eye and she sprays you down while your body slowly freezes to a stop while you struggle with futility to escape, and she looks you right in the eyes with that adorable little face with an evil little fucking smile as she plasters the walls with your brains by shoving an icicle through your temple! In fact, there are a few such situations of hopelessness you learn to instinctively fear as an Overwatch player. Whenever McCree tells you what time of day it is, whenever D.Va laughs and says nerf this and you have nowhere to run, whenever you get pinned by fucking Reinhardt or you hear Genji shout some bullshit in Japanese, you know you're gonna have a bad fucking time. But for me personally, there's nothing that compares to when you see a Roadhog half a mile away and he starts lumbering toward you. Oh fuck, he's after me, no, get away! And then his fucking, what is that, a fucking rusty meat hook? Whatever the fuck it is, he hurls it approximately 5,000 feet through walls, and by God, that damned hook will always find and grab you and rip you away from what you're doing until you're face to face with this giant meat monster of a man. And if he's being played by a player worth half their salt, there's a 95% chance he's gonna instantly kill you with a devastating headshot and meat hook to the face. I'm sorry, it stresses me the fuck out more than anything, and I swear his goddamn hook recharges instantly. There's nothing that freaks me out more than a Roadhog who has a raging hate boner for me as the healer and makes it their personal mission to take me down. And while I do think that it's bullshit that the damn thing seems like it can travel through walls, whatever. I'll live with it. I'm not gonna whine about him being broken. Well, not in my videos. What happens between me and my monitor is nobody's business but ours. Folk have been asking me to take a close look at Roadhog for a while, and since I meant to last week but got distracted by bullshit that didn't mean anything, I figure I owe you a real topic on something awesome. So, Roadhog's signature technique is the ability to throw a giant hook across a great distance, grab a motherfucker, and whip them to himself fast as fuck like a fat scorpion from Mortal Kombat. Also, why the fuck is combat spelled with a K? What the actual fuck? Seriously, this is some 1990s bullshit idea of how to be edgy, like when everybody was spelling extreme like extreme. Where was I? Oh right, Roadhog's hook thingy. Yeah, there's no character he can't yank away. Bastions, divas, fucking everything. I mean, how strong do you have to be in order to one-arm a fucking mech across a vast distance? Let's figure this the fuck out. Unfortunately, we can't. Aww. Sorry. We have no idea what Bastion or Diva are made out of. Mech suits don't really exist to compare to, nor do, what is Bastion, a drone tank thing? Anyway, since there's no mass or weight recorded anywhere for these characters, the best we could do is a big fat bupkis. We can't even necessarily presume that they're made out of steel. For all we know, it's an ultra light, super durable ceramic or plastic polymer future nonsense. Nah, we're boned. Well, sort of. There's actually something else we can look at instead of Diva or Bastion. Something we have numbers for and something that is truly, truly massive. Roadhog. Sure, from a canonical perspective, there's no possible way Roadhog would be able to hook another Roadhog, minus some sort of backdoor cloning facility nonsense nobody told me about, but mechanically, this is something Roadhog is totally capable of. Now, about a month ago, I foolishly said that Roadhog probably weighed about 300 and some pounds, which at the time seemed to be a totally reasonable assumption. Of course, I didn't realize that Blizzard actually tells us exactly how much Roadhog weighs in one of their cinematics. 550 pounds, or roughly 2 250 kilograms. Hot damn, that's a heavy man. So first things first, can a 250 kilogram person actually budge another 250 kilogram person? Because if not, it doesn't matter what the heck Diva or Bastion or whatever are made out of, because Roadhog will immediately be complete bullshit. And since we have a lot of science to do today, I'm going to spare dangling you on the reveal for this one. Roadhog would totally be capable of dragging another person of equal mass to himself. No problem. What we're essentially looking at is tug of war, except in this case, the target isn't even really resisting since they're caught off guard, presumably because they've been stunned by a goddamn iron hook embedding itself in their flesh. The physics of tug of war are fucking complicated. Randall Monroe can back me up on this one. There are a lot of forces acting on one another at different moments, from angular momentum, friction, and fucking just everything. Tug of war is rarely won by raw power or weight alone anyway. Believe it or not, tug of war, not unlike real war, is won by coordination and psychology. Professional tug of war teams aren't just comprised of folk pulling on the rope. They also have members called drivers whose sole job it is to stand on the sides and shout commands to their team, using motions to coordinate their pulling, giving commands to hang, which means to dig your heels in and pull back as far as you can go, increasing your angle of resistance up until you're almost flat against the ground. This makes a team almost impossible to budge and is designed to tire out your opponents. If and when the opposition is worn out, a good driver gets his team to go gung-ho and tear the other team up off the ground. At the end of the day, tug of war is a game of skill as much as it may seem otherwise. Since Roadhog is unlikely to meet any resistance from a fellow Roadhog, he can totally move him, but this is only half, maybe even just a third of the equation. Let's get deeper into this topic. Let's look at this hook chain of Roadhogs first. This bad boy has a range of 20 fucking meters, and when first thrown, it covers that distance in under half a second at a blistering speed of 63 meters per second. That's as fast as the world's fastest roller coaster, the Formula Rosa. After covering this distance, it hooks the target and After covering this distance, it hooks the target and Roadhog yanks it back to himself. It returns somewhat slower, unsurprisingly, reaching only 40 meters per second in just half a second. Still, that's pretty damn fast. That's more or less how fast you'd be going if you jumped out of an airplane without a parachute. Now, before y'all try to point out that Roadhog appears to have some sort of winch on his back like that's doing all the work for him, let me just stop you right there. I'm gonna let you finish, but regardless of whether or not Roadhog's muscles or the winch is doing the pulling, he's still gonna need to be strong enough to counteract the force of the winch. Or else what would happen, instead of his enemy getting pulled toward him, Roadhog and his enemy would both get dragged across the ground and crash into one another in the middle, so just stop with that nonsense. Pulling 250 kilograms of man meat across 20 meters is no easy feat, let alone doing so at near terminal atmospheric velocity. Before we can even look at whether or not a person can be strong enough to do this, we have to figure this out. Could a chain even withstand these kinds of forces? I mean, really, could they? Chains are surprisingly easy to break, believe it or not. That's why you tend to see more cables used in places where rugged durability is an absolute necessity. The amount of steel of the same quality formed into a continuous rope is way less likely to break than a chain. Why is this? Well, the simple too long don't read answer is because with the chain, all the force is focused on a much smaller area where the links are connected to one another, whereas with a cable, the tension is much more evenly spread out and isn't focused on specific small points. But alas, Roadhog has a chain. Shit. But not all chains are created equal. Chains are manufactured with different grades, with different tensile strengths. Higher grades are, of course, more expensive, but if you're a badass who definitely wants to do their hard work with a chain instead of a wimpy-looking cable for sheer intimidation factor, price is no fucking object. Tensile strength is the amount of resistance a material has to tension, which is pulling forces. This is opposed to impact strength, which is resistance to getting hit, shear strength, and compressive strength, and probably 1,000 different others. Fucking engineers, man, they think of everything. We just need the one, tensile strength. Tension is spread out evenly throughout a material. Well, in a perfect world it is anyway. For our purposes, it doesn't matter that much. We need to figure out exactly how much force is getting exerted on this chain, and in order to do that, we need to do some basic ass physics. A 250 kilogram Roadhog moves from point A to point B, accelerating from 0 meters per second to 40 in half a second. How fast is Roadhog Roadhog's average acceleration, and how many newtons of force does the chain pulling him from point A to point B experience? Be sure to show your work. What? You don't want to do it? But I made the sheet. Fine, I'll do everything, like always. This is actually really simple. Force in newtons is simply mass times acceleration, and acceleration is velocity divided by time. Doing this gives us an acceleration of 80 meters per second squared, which gives us a nice clean force of 20,000 newtons, or 20 kilonewtons. So we just need to find a chain that can withstand 20 kilonewtons of force, and then not so fast, youngster. This isn't your high school physics class. This is like your community college physics class. You know what else has mass? Our chain. We absolutely can't forget to factor in the weight of any chain we pick, since that's gonna add to the force. Now, this can be a bit tricky, as different grades of chain at different sizes have all these kinds of different weights, and while their masses aren't negligible, luckily for us, they don't add to that much force. About 1,000 newtons for a grade 80 chain that's 9/32 of an inch thick, which conveniently has a tensile breaking resistance of over 61 kilonewtons. Over 3 times the tensile force our chain is gonna be experiencing. Awesome! So far, so good. Chain that won't crack, check. And tossing a chain this heavy would take a massive 4,000 newtons. This is a lot, but it's the kind of forces that bodybuilders experience during a competition, so it's within the realm of feasibility. Of course, this leads to our next big problem. Force. These forces are astronomical. Well, okay, maybe not astronomical. Terrestrial for sure, but still extreme. The instant Roadhog yanks that chain back, over 21,000 newtons are gonna be surging through that chain, dragging the person on the other end over to him. While the chain does seem as though it will probably hold together without a problem, can a human being even exert this kind of force on something? Enter Louis Cyr, the strongest fucking man in recorded history. This dude was a motherfucking badass. You know, when I looked up the strongest person in history, I expected it to be someone from the modern era. I figured that clearly, with all the modern technological and medical advances, we have perfected and streamlined strongness. The thing is, it turns out, being strong is an old as fuck practice among humanity. You just gotta lift heavy shit, and then, you know, you lift heavier shit, and just keep doing that until you die. Nowadays, strongness isn't a really valuable survival attribute, at least not in the Western industrialized nations. And few people in history were ever as good at being strong as Louis Cyr was. Born in the fucking 19th century in Canada, no less, this dude is a certified badass. A lot of his feats were totally overblown, but solid, reliable records can verify that he definitely lifted over 500 pounds using just his finger and carried 18 dudes on a platform weighing almost 2,000 fucking kilograms. This man was fucking incredible and kinda cute too. So if anybody in history could yank a Roadhog across 20 meters in half a second, it's Cyr, right? Well, unfortunately not. At least not at these speeds. You see, accelerating at 80 meters per second squared, this chain and person would be experiencing over 8 Gs and feel as though it weighed over 2,200 kilograms or over 4,800 pounds. Well over Cyr's recorded limit on strength. So close, so close. And it doesn't end there. There's the ballistic energy of the chain to consider. When thrown, it blitzes through the air at 60 meters per second and strikes whoever the target is. Weighing over 21 kilograms, this is like getting hit by a small car. This chain would rip through flesh and bone easily. And it's entirely likely that it would leave whoever it hit paralyzed forever, if not dead outright. Of course, we have already established in our punching episode that Overwatch members have superhuman bone, and since they seem to be able to withstand Lucio's nuclear weapon strength sound gun, I'm guessing it's not all that weird at all that they're merely annoyed by this dangerous as fuck attack. And honestly, with the forces and weights as they are, I have to say, well, Roadhog's hook is surprisingly feasible. I mean, it's clearly complete bullshit, but for video game stuff, it's barely complete bullshit. Roadhog would have to be slightly superhuman in order to throw it. I mean, he could probably be on the B roster of the Avengers and be able to pull off these chain tricks. In fact, maybe you could do it if you practiced long and hard enough. Maybe you could beat the massively impressive records of Louis Cyr, claim the title of the strongest person in history, and become a member of Overwatch. Just, you know, try not to actually throw meat hooks at people because you will definitely end up in jail. Sincerely, Austin. P.S. I got stuff again! Things! Tchotchkes! All these things and more from Loot Crate, not Loot Box. That's the other thing from Overwatch. It's pretty similar though. Every month, Loot Crate sends awesome things to your door to show off to your friends. Each month, they pick a theme and send you different stuff according to that theme. Last month was anti-heroes, and next month, the theme is speed. For as little as $20 a month, you can get in on this action, and if you're not into tchotchkes, but your wardrobe needs some sprucing, never fear! You can subscribe to their Level Up Your Wardrobe service and, level up your wardrobe. All their stuff follows the same theme as the Loot Crate. If you want to sign up, just head to lootcrate.com/shoddycast to save 10% on your subscription. Badass, right? Just be sure to do it by September 19th, the deadline for next month's theme. That's just a week from now, so go there. Or click the link in the description. I look awesome in that skirt. Also, do you watch me stream? Because you totally should. It's awesome. I'm sexy and awesome. Normally I have a set schedule and blah, 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 but this week I'm doing something a little different. In honor of today's Overwatch video, I'm gonna be devoting my entire week of streaming to Blizzard titles. Head on over to twitch.tv/shoddycast and check me out at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Today is Overwatch, of course, but tomorrow will be Diablo 3 or maybe Classic Diablo. I haven't decided yet. Anyway, here's the schedule. Check it out and check me out. Thank you everyone for watching my video on Roadhog. You guys asked me about this one a lot. The physics are pretty ridiculous. Even if you could pull somebody, I'm pretty sure a meat hook would still just tear through them no matter what you did. But you gotta give them a little bit of latitude. I want to throw out a personal thank you to our Patreon supporters who make this show possible. You guys are awesome. If you want to be a Patreon supporter, you can head over onto our Patreon page at patreon.com/shoddycast. If you donate $3 a month to our amazing show channel, I guess you can't really say donate, contribute $3 a month. There we go. If you contribute $3 a month, you get early access to all videos, including this one when I'm not terrible and getting them out late. But this week they're on time, because I'm awesome. I'm awesome, Austin. Anyway, watch me stream at twitch.tv/shoddycast. It'll be fun. Follow me on Twitter at Hourigan. Just don't be a jerk, or I'll block you. And I don't even care. I'll forget who you are in like 5 minutes. It'll be fun for me, and you'll be sad and blocked by me. So don't do that.